Hello and welcome. My name is Rachel Coletta, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about creating sacred space. I'm going to be sharing with you what sacred space is, why I think it's important to create it, and when is a good time to create it. And I'm also going to share with you some of the aspects that comprise sacred space and give you some steps so that you can get your creative juices flowing and begin to brainstorm how you could create your own sacred space if that's not something that you've done already. I think that this is a really timely video because right now we're going through this really intense eclipse season here in July, and Mercury has also gone retrograde. I know a lot of people who are energetically sensitive are definitely feeling it and feeling discombobulated, but really creating sacred space is so important for our intuition, for our energetic hygiene and health, and really just all around for humaning. So whether you're watching this video during this really kind of intense energetic astrological time period, or you're watching at another time, I mean, honestly, I think that the energies here on this planet are continuing to intensify. So this video and the information within are going to be completely applicable to you. So let's dive right in. When it feels like the ground is moving underneath our feet, when the energy in our environment feels foreign or unfamiliar or uncomfortable or even disorienting, this is when we are being called to come back to ourselves via creation of sacred space. And so I think it's also important to mention that, when our energy or the energy outside of ourselves feels disorienting or confusing or unfamiliar, this can be really agitating, and it can agitating for our system, and it can make us feel unsafe. And this is the time when oftentimes as humans, because in our society we're just not really taught a lot of healthy, holistic ways to cope with discomfort, it's very easy to fall back on coping mechanisms that do not necessarily target the system as a whole. So this isn't an excuse or a reason to beat up on ourselves about any past behavior. Anything that you have used to self-soothe has been in some way or another beneficial for at least a portion or a subsect of your energy at that time, or you wouldn't have been pulled to do it. But creating a sacred space looks at the energetic body more holistically and creates a way to cope, to process, and to self-soothe that considers the energetic system as a whole, instead of using behavior that can sometimes it can be numbing, and it can actually blunt our ability to perceive what's going on around us, these shifts in energies, and to work with them. So we want to try to stay aware and open, but at the same time to be self-soothing and taking good care of ourselves. And creating sacred space is an excellent way to do that. So what is sacred space? Just put the most simply, sacred space is a space that feels special to you. It's a space that's uniquely suited to your energy, or your energy at a specific point in time, because our energy is constantly changing, and you will likely need to adapt and shift your creation of your sacred space as you continue to evolve. It is a space that's conducive and supportive to your openness and your presence. That's the big thing I want to highlight. So let me say that again. Sacred space is a space that is conducive to your openness and your presence. It helps support you in becoming more present and becoming more open in your heart space. When you create a space that is supportive of your presence, you are literally creating safety, or rather you're creating a throughway, a connection, a channel to the experience and the reality of the infinite safety that is ever present, and that is a through line of your own energy, actually. So I think it's so beautiful, and that is why sacred space is so powerful. It's because it's calling you back to yourself. It's calling you back to a place of safety, no matter what is happening outside in your environment. So there are two aspects of creating sacred space. There's an external aspect, and then there is an internal aspect, meaning that we can create an external, a physical sacred space, and then there's also the internal sacred space that we create within the core of our being. The external sacred space is a vehicle. It is a means through which we can help ourselves get to that internal sacred space. So use it. You don't have to try and sit and force and search and toil to find an internal sacred space. Create and use this physical world to help you call that energy back in to yourself. Okay, so now let's get into the specifics of creating your own sacred space. Remember that we're using the external here as a vehicle to the internal. So the number one most important thing is to clearly set your intention when you create your space. If you'd like a little bit more information on this than what I'm going to go over in this video, I have another video called The Secret Ingredient, Intention, and you can watch that to get a little bit more perspective and a little bit more inspiration on this. But we want to both be creating our space with intentionality, and we want to be using our space with intentionality. This is so important and so key. So let's say the most powerful way to use our sacred space would not be to use it and then have it become sort of a backdrop or a fixture, say like, as a corner of a room in our home where we just walk by it and we don't really connect with the energy of the space that we've created. We want to, again, be fostering this connection to this energy that feels special, supportive, and uniquely suited to us. And we want to be actually intentionally connecting with that energy that we have created. So this doesn't have to be a really big time commitment. This could be as simple as just spending a few seconds to pause and connect with the energy of the space that you've created. But it's really important to use it and use it with intentionality. And if it's starting to feel not quite resonant with you anymore, then that's usually a call to update your sacred space, to change it, to recreate, that your energy is shifted to a place where it's no longer an exact match for the space that you've created previously. And then I also want to encourage you to start thinking about fostering this sacred space, not just in your home, which is where a lot of our minds go. This is where a lot of us want to have our safe space. So that makes so much sense. But let's also think about where we could bring this idea of sacred space into our vehicles, our cars. Lots of us spend lots of time commuting or driving around, into our office or our workspace, into a yard or a patio or an outdoor area. And again, this can be very simple, or it can be more complex, whatever feels good to you. So step 2 is I'm going to give you some really specific ideas about what this could look like so that you can use it as a springboard for some of your own ideas. So this could look like clearing things out, cleaning or decluttering. That could be the creation of a sacred space. Maybe for you, creation of a sacred space isn't about bringing anything in, but it's about releasing things, donating things, clearing. Maybe that will bring in that feeling of specialness, of calmness, where you can really connect more meaningfully and more intimately with what you do have in your surroundings. Lighting a candle or incense could be creating sacred space. Burning sage, cedar, sweet grass. Obviously, source these things responsibly. Through movement. Movement can create sacred space. Yoga, dance, journaling, meditation. So I also want to bring in the reminder here that we're using the external to foster this connection to the internal sacred space. So if we're talking about journaling as a way of creating sacred space, could you buy a particular journal, or could you decorate your journal in a particular way that it really feels like it is yours? If you are using meditation, what about finding a meditation mat or blanket that you can use that every time you meditate you sit on, in this physical representation of you creating that internal sacred space? It's the same with, lighting sage. This is a physical action that is, if we set our intention and we align our intention, that actually is set to clear and bring us into a state of presence, into our internal sacred space. bringing plants, flowers, artwork, or decor into your home. Connection or communion with your spirit family. Ant bite. Connection or communion with your spirit family, which again, you can use a physical, maybe you do this in a physical, a specific area of your house. Maybe you bring a crystal with you. Maybe you light a candle or specific incense stick as you do your connection with your spirit family. But again, bringing in this calming energy, this energy that feels special and just nourishing to you specifically, and using that external vehicle as a way to get to your internal openness and sacred space. Maybe this is a cozy place that you create to read or to drink tea. Maybe your sacred space is creating sacred space. Maybe you're a perpetual sacred space creator. And that's what actually calls in that energy for you. In your car, you can find, crystals or other fun things that you could hang from your rear view mirror. You could get cool seat covers. You can bring photos into your office. But just start brainstorming what feels uniquely you, what feels special to you, and what can you use as a channel, as a vehicle to carry you through to a place of presence and openness and safety internally. So I hope this was helpful for you guys, and I'd love to hear from you down below in the comments. What are some of your favorite ways to create sacred space? It would be great if we could learn from each other and get some inspiration from you and from what you do to create your sacred space. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until next time, all my love. Bye.